Okay, would you mind introducing yourself?
My name's Bill Myers. I'm a member of the CP in the Young Communist League in Britain and currently acting chair of the newly formed Manchester Young Communist League.
Okay, could you tell us a bit more about the YCL? What is it exactly?
The YCL is the youth wing of the Communist Party. It's for anybody who's under the age of 30, and when you join the CP, you automatically get YCL membership.
Okay.
We are an autonomous organisation within the party, so we have our own constitution and we have our own meetings and we vote for our own
delegates.
Delegates and that. However, we are still answerable to Britain's Road to Socialism and the main Communist Party.
Britain's Road to Socialism being, for the people that don't know it?
Britain's Road to Socialism is the manifesto of the Communist Party of Britain.
Okay, I see. So what would you say are the electoral prospects for the CPB in the coming weeks, months?
Electoral-wise, I don't think we've got much chance of getting in MPs and that, but we don't tend to work since the election of Jeremy Corbyn. We haven't been working within the electoral system by standing candidates. We've been putting our support behind the left-wing leadership of the Labour Party.
So you haven't fielded any candidates in the 2017 general election?
No, we fielded one candidate for the West Midlands mayoral elections, but that was it. We withdrew all of the candidacies for council and parliamentary level. Okay.
Would you say that it's part of a maybe united front strategy?
I think with the current conditions within Britain, the fact that we've got such crippling austerity and such a right-wing reactionary conservative government, and by uniting behind getting a Labour government elected, then it's the best thing for the working class in Britain at the moment.
I understand. I've read, if I'm not mistaken, that the CPB in 2015 went below the 800 members, which hadn't been, it's kind of a low point. Is it a recent development? Is it part of a trend, you think?
Well, actually, CP membership has been, since the reformation of the party, has been going up and down, but not by that much. But what we have found amongst even though Communist Party membership as a whole has been going down slightly, we've been having a massive resurgence within young people joining the party. So YCL membership is actually increasing at the moment.
Okay. So do you think that young British people are getting maybe more involved in politics at the moment?
I think there's been not just a massive resurgence within the Labour Party, but people being interested within communism and other forms of socialism, other socialist parties as well.
I see. So it's so the YCL is progressing. Do you think you could give us maybe an estimate of the membership at the moment for the Northwest District?
For the YCL, YCL in the Northwest, I think we're probably only at about 10 members at the moment. I think nationally we were on about, last time I heard, about 150 members, and growing as well. And for the first time in a long time, we've also been building up our international solidarity. We had delegates attending the World Festival of Democratic Youth in Russia as well, and that was the first time we'd attended in a good few years.
I see. Would you say that is it maybe the Brexit and its latest developments that have kind of created this surge of interest in politics and maybe left-wing politics?
I mean, I think with Brexit, it's had a resurgence. I think it's put a lot of people into politics, but I think that has been amongst young people more towards the right wing, and we do believe in withdrawing from the EU, not for the same reasons obviously as the far right and that, but we still get labelled as racist sometimes for wanting to withdraw, and obviously want to leave the EU on economic grounds, the fact that it's a neoliberal institution that's oppressing workers across the whole of not just the European spectrum, but across the whole world as well. If you just look at the austerity that it's enforced on Greece and Spain and Portugal, and it's the European Union is dividing the working classes rather than bringing unity, rather than creating jobs and creating opportunities for working class people. It's creating a system of divide and conquer by using immigration as a blame on why there isn't any jobs.
Okay.
And there isn't any jobs because of the current state of the capitalist system. But if you're bringing workers from the old Eastern Bloc or from the southern European countries, bringing them into Britain, France, Germany, then the capitalist class are then using them as a scapegoat for the mass unemployment that we're facing at the moment.
Speaking of the right-wing movement, so we've seen the progress, the National Front in France. We've seen it in Austria, in Germany, with the Alternative for Germany. Do you think that the left-wing parties can can maybe rise to the challenge of the far right and draw the same kind of appeal and momentum?
I think we can. I think we are doing as well. Just look at momentum, for example, in this country, much bigger than any far-right organisation, much bigger even than the Conservative, which I would consider as a far-right political party. And their sham of trying to set up Activate completely flopped. And I think we're getting more interest on an anti-fascist perspective, and it's about drawing them people in and bringing the class issue
to the forefront.
Politics, because if you look at a lot of far-right ideology, they do try and appeal to the working classes the same way as we do, but they do it by creating division, whereby we're trying to create unity. If you're in the EDL, it's great if you're a white, working class, heterosexual male, but not if you're anybody else.
It's identity politics and class politics. I see. So what would you say the CPB's position is towards Corbyn's leadership of the Labour?
No, we fully support Corbyn's leadership of the Labour Party, and we support the all the left-wing leadership of the Labour Party. It doesn't necessarily mean we support all Labour policy, but the Labour Party are providing an alternative, and a very different alternative to what the Conservatives are offering, and different than the Labour Party has offered for definitely in my lifetime and in our lifetimes.
Do you think the policies you're advocating for in the CPB are overlapping in some way with the Labour's?
In things when nationalisation, for example, renationalisation of gas, the railways, and we'd like to take it one step further and nationalise a lot more than Labour want to. And Labour's stance on the welfare state as well, we fully support that. We fully support their building of homes and So a lot of their social policies, yes, we would say that we support. Maybe don't think they go far enough necessarily.
But it's still enough to warrant the support.
It's enough to warrant support because at the end of the day, as communists, we need to be thinking about what is best for the working class, not what's best for ourselves. And the best thing for the working class in Britain at the moment is getting rid of austerity and getting rid of the Conservative government. And if that means taking a step back out of the electoral process in order to do that, to not jeopardise a Labour victory, and I think that's the right, personally for me, that's the right thing for a communist to be doing.
It's the way forward. So we were mentioning earlier, because we were speaking about Labour, the dual membership and entryism. Is it still a policy advocated inside the CPB?
No, we don't advocate entryism in any form. We want to influence the Labour Party by working with them, not working inside
from inside
them. Because one, it can be damaging towards the reputation of the Labour Party. As you're probably aware, the word communism can still be a dirty word in some circles, and that in reading papers like the Daily Mail, they'd like you to think that the entire Labour Party was a communist party, when quite clearly it isn't.
So it's definitely more fruitful, you think, to act maybe
independently, but alongside, and especially putting pressure on amongst the trade union movement as well. We can have big influence there. We can get people elected within the trade union movement, and we can have our say there, and that can influence the wider Labour movement.
I see. We've had some international speakers today at the conference. A member of the Tudeh party from Iran and a member from the KA from Greece. Would you say that from an international perspective, is there maybe a growing sense of unity or organisation going on among the left-wing parties across the world?
Yeah, I mean, since I've joined the party, especially at YCL, we've seen a lot more interaction between a lot of international communist parties who we've been building ties with. We had delegates, like I said, the World First Festival of Democratic Youth, where we met with delegates from communist parties across the world. We had delegates at the Avanti Festival, where we were in contact with Portuguese comrades.
I see.
And we've had comrades moving over here.
So far-reaching movements at the moment. Okay, so maybe back to the subject at hand, the October Revolution. So on the party basis, does the CPB subscribe to the theory of the vanguard party leading the revolution? Yeah. Do you think the CPB can be, or could be in the coming weeks, months, become this leading force for change?
No, I think we can. I think if we put the right pressure on in the right places, like to go back to the trade union movement and we can influence policy and the parties to explain and to make people realise that the policies that we are advocating are the policies that are best for them, and they're policies that can't necessarily be achieved under a social democratic system.
I see. And to follow up on the following developments of the October Revolution, what is the CPB stance on the regime that followed? And I'm thinking after the death of Lenin, when Stalin took power, what would be the stance of the CPB regarding Stalin's and the alleged atrocities committed by the regime?
Of course, you've got to look at any government or any regime in history and try and understand the conditions and the reasonings behind that. We don't in any way support any purges or any discrimination against any group of people. However, at the same time, we don't think it should. We think that especially under Stalin, a lot of the figures, a lot of the facts that we are told aren't true. For example, the myths about 20, 30, 40 million people dying. And, I think you've got to look at it from a dialectical
approach,
and understand the reasonings why it happened and understand the truth behind it. We don't necessarily support it in the same way as the whole of the Soviet Union. We support the Soviet Union as a whole, but we should also be equally as critical of the Soviet Union.
You don't think the excesses discard the rest of the theories and the progress made?
No.
I see. So do you still think there are lessons to be learned from the October Revolution to this day? Because it's been 100 years. Of course, many things have changed. Many things might have remained the same.
Well, I think we need to. I think there is a lot to learn still from the October Revolution and from the USSR as a whole. At the end of the day, the USSR failed, and it failed for a reason, and we need to understand why it failed, in order to make sure that doesn't happen again.
I understand. So would you say that self-criticism is still...
Yeah, I think self-criticism is one of the most important parts of being a Marxist or being a communist. If you can't criticise yourself, you shouldn't be able to criticise anybody.
I understand, yeah. Are there any upcoming events planned for the CPB or the YCL in Manchester?
We'll be having... we have got a Facebook page of Manchester Young Communist League where we do post the events. At the moment, we've been working quite a lot on... setting up the Congress, and also we did quite a lot for the Take Back Manchester Festival against the Conservative Party in their conference and that. So we're in a bit of a lull in activity at the moment, but that's only because we've been doing so much to build up. And we've got our next meeting in a few weeks, where we'll be deciding our agenda for the next 12 months. And
then it'll be more defined. And
then we'll be able to publicise what we're doing.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome, thank you.